Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome into Small Business Saturdays. I appreciate you guys' patience this morning. We are excited to be talking about going from stress to clarity and confidence. Just really kind of figuring out how to change what the business does to us, I guess is the way to put it. So making a few layout changes here in the background. I forget that other people that use StreamYard change it. So all good. Okay. Well, good morning. Thank you guys so much for being here. And we're going to talk about going from stress to clarity today. And this is an interesting topic. And I'm going to be honest with you. Let me go back. Let me actually go back. I've had people say to me, they tune in to Small Business Saturdays here and they're like, oh, you're talking to me. I know you're talking to me. And okay, that's fine. If I am, that's perfect, right? That's definitely hopefully of value. But at the end of the day, I'm really talking to me, right? These are things that I want to explore deeper. These are things that I believe and I've seen work and I know work, but maybe I need to do more too. So if this hits home for you, then grab that, run with that. But understand that this is a process, this is a journey that we're all on, including myself. And so I'm excited to talk about this, right? So I guess I've got some questions for you guys to start this out. Thank you, Jerry. He says topic worth waiting for. So, and I do have some help here this morning, so I will stop pushing buttons if that's okay there, helper. All right. So I do have some questions for you guys. First question. No, yes, I do have some questions. Let's start there. And in fact, let's all take a deep breath real quick. I need to do that too. Okay. From that space, right? Does your business ever stress you out? Does, getting ready for something stress you out? Yeah. Right. I think that's a pretty easy answer. I'm pretty sure if your business is something that, you've got a passion about, it's going to bring up some stress. Right. So I guess the real question I have for you, because, being that was maybe a bit of a rhetorical question, what would be the better alternative to that stress? Right? What are some words that show up for you guys that would be a better alternative to the stress that might show up in our daily business life, in looking at the numbers at the end of the month, in dealing with some situation, right? What's a better alternative to that stress? So those of you that are tuned in live, if you have something that shows up for you, please go ahead and share it. But some words that came up for me were things like peace, excitement, joy, thrill, looking forward to. I know that's not a word, but close enough, right? So what would be some better alternatives for you? And as I was thinking about this, as I started wondering, like, what are some of those better alternatives? Then it made me start wondering, okay, well, how do I achieve those better alternatives? Right? We have to keep asking ourselves the questions. And what I've discovered is that those better alternatives, right? The stress is going to be inevitable. I pretty safely can say that. Things are going to happen, right? And a little bit of stress is okay. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. But being stressed all the time, we need to find a way to have that alternative, this peace, excitement, the looking forward to, the passionate, right? And to me, what I've discovered is that comes from having more clarity, especially about your reason or your why, right? It also comes from having more confidence, confidence in the fact that I can price my products, confidence in I'm the best in my space. I know who my ideal customers are, confidence in yourself, right? Being your best inner coach, not inner critic, right? So all of those things, clarity and confidence really are the keys there. And so from that, I said, okay, well, how can we make that shift, right? How can we go from stress into clarity and confidence? And I came up with about 10 things, 10 mindset shifts that I believe can alleviate some stress and really cultivate more confidence in our business and especially in our business mindset. So uh, I want you guys to look at these. I want you guys to think about these things and then see, are these maybe some practical tips that you could utilize to achieve that greater clarity, confidence we talked about, and really just kind of make this small business journey that you're on a little bit more of an enjoyable path to walk, right? And so, what are your guys' thoughts on any of that? Like I said, if you're tuned in live here, I'd love to hear from you on that topic. But I do also want to get you guys on into the rest of your Saturday here. So let me start with number one. The first tip, step, mindset shift, whatever you want to call it, is we need to remove the ego. So removing ego is number one. So if we could put that banner up, that would be fantastic. So removing ego, right? So with number one, let's think about it this way. Say to yourself, what do you want? I want success, let's say. I want X. I want, right? How many times throughout the course of our day do we say, I want this, I want that, right? And that's fine. It's good to have desires. It's good to have things that we're shooting for. But what happens when we remove the I want? What's left, right? Just that thing, right? And that thing is just out there, right? It's part of the, whatever you want to call it, energy, space, greater good. Right? It's all out there. We know it is, regardless of, sometimes it's hard to see. We know it's out there, but there's such a focus on I and on ego, right? And on the logic brain, the pushing forward, right? What happens though when we let go of that, right? Because here's what happens when we're focused on the ego, the I wants, right? That brings up competition. It brings up jealousy and sometimes even aggression. We've seen that in our world today. But when you're focused on, and that's what happens in the external world. But when you're focused on the ego, the I, in the internal world, it also creates loneliness, sadness, and this feeling of everybody's conspiring against us, right? So if we removed that ego, we removed that place of I and came from a place of wholeness, of the greater good, the whatever it is for you, that is a little bit more of a wholeness, community, family, that kind of thing. And then once you remove that, then thinking thoughts like, okay, from ego, from competition, from jealousy, I felt like the world was conspiring against me. But what if the world was actually conspiring for me, right? What if we were all one, right? And so the practical tip that you can take away from this is, every time you feel a little bit of stress, go quickly inside and go, what am I focused on about me? What if I changed that focus, right? People talk all the time about how maybe they're in a situation, desperation, and they go and volunteer their time and how that works out, right? So think about that in your business. What if all of a sudden you go, how can I give more? How can I do more? And I'm not talking about giving away stuff, right? I'm talking about giving value, giving of yourself, right? Removing the ego and saying, what is the bigger picture? How can I do more and be more, right? So thinking about, what if the world was actually conspiring against me? What would happen then? And then focus your energy on that particular situation. If the world was conspiring for me instead of against me, is what I meant to say. If the world was conspiring for me instead of against me, what would that look like? And then go after that, right? So there's number one. Number two is to change perspective, right? And this is an interesting idea, because we have conversations about like we've got the blinders on, right? We're too close to it. You can't see the forest for the trees. These are some of the sayings that happen, and that's a reality, right? We get so involved in the situation, in the stress, in whatever's going on, that again we can't see the forest for the trees, right? And so we have to sometimes change perspectives. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie. It's called Big Hero 6. It's an animated movie. So if you're not somebody that had kids about the same age that I do, you may have not have seen it, and that's okay. It's actually really hilarious and a pretty good movie, and little bit of a yeah. It's a good movie. We'll just leave it at that. Um, there's a moment when the younger kid is trying to solve a problem, trying to kind of can't overcome the challenge that he's facing, and his older brother grabs him and starts shaking him and just kind of encouraging him to keep moving forward. And then he flips him upside down, and he's holding him upside down. He says, you just got to look at things differently. And all of a sudden, as he was looking upside down, the answer came to him. His perspective changed, right? So when that stress happens, we tend to want to like grind in and get closer and close down that circle and really focus, right? But what if we change that? What if we change perspectives? What if we said, okay, I'm stressed. It's not going the way I want it to right now. Something's not happening. Let me get up, walk outside, do something different, change perspectives, do some yoga, do some meditation, right? Whatever it might be, that maybe it's something you've never tried before. Maybe it's something you think is completely the waste of my time. Try it anyhow, right? What if, right? So the success principle that this comes from is act as if. What if that would work? So that's the second tip, is change your perspective, right? The third tip, step, mindset shift, whatever you want to call it, is we need to focus on process. And this is again a topic that I think is very interesting. And as I mentioned at the beginning, these are things that I'm talking to myself about. Oh, I'm not getting enough reach. My emails aren't converting. My post, nobody's watching Small Business Saturdays, right? Um, I mean, I could sit there and think that right now, right? But the reality is that leads to stress, right? And at the end of the day, understanding that stress is not a normal, natural, just we live with it day in and day out. That's not the way our bodies are made. We're not made to handle the amount of stress that we normally have, right? And so we get sick, we don't feel good, things happen to our bodies, our mental acuity and focus is not there, right? So stress really, like I said, stress is actually still a good thing. We do need a little bit of stress every now and again, but stress is just part of our sympathetic nerve system, and it's really designed to help us in short moments of threat or survival. It gives us that boost of adrenaline. It gives us that really quick focus that we need to quickly solve a problem, but we need to be able to get back out of that, right? And one of the best ways to get back out of that is to stop focusing on the results, what's happening, and focus in on the process, right? What is your process? What's the bigger picture? So there's the every time you hear an interview with some athlete of any ilk, that somebody that is pretty good in their sport, and they're interviewing them about, right, how did you win the championship? And there's the cliche that we all kind of roll our eyes at of, oh, it's about the journey. I love the journey. And again, we roll our eyes at that. But the reality is that's why they were able to become so great, is they fell in love with the process. Yes, winning the gold medal, the championship or whatever was the culmination of it, but they love just going to work every day and what is the process, and defining the process and getting better at the process and fulfilling what their passion is through that process. So how can you focus more on the process and less on the results, right? What is your process for creating the business that you love? Are you spending enough time working on the business, right? Or is it constantly in because you're chasing the results? So that's number 3. Number 4, focus on what you desire, right? And again, we're talking about focus. And so I think since this is a discussion about mindset shifts that we can make, understanding that a mindset shift really does come down to what you're focused on. But we want to focus on what we desire. So humans, we have this incredible ability to find the problems, right? We can look for danger. Our natural bodies are set up, right? We have this peripheral vision. If something were to move over here, like that's out of my normal field of vision, I would notice that, right? And I can stay focused, but I would go, oh, I noticed that. What was that, right? And but that's not just the physical world. That's also the emotional world. That's also the energy world, right? We can look for the dangers. Oh, this situation is going to make me feel bad. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be lonely. I'm going to feel embarrassed, right? And so we're really good at that. We're incredible at it. In fact, some people more than most. And in fact, what happens to those people, right, is we focus on the problems and we look for the danger, and then we start complaining about it. Then we start, right? We do all these things to find the problems. We're really good at finding the problems, but most of us, and just for lack of a better term, suck at finding the solutions, because we don't spend enough time practicing that. We don't spend enough time finding solutions. We love getting in the complain line. Oh, my day is terrible. I feel bad. I'm hurting. I'm sore. Business is bad. I can't find the products, yada, yada, yada. Right. But when we are focused on always looking for the problems, and yet we want to get rid of stress and find clarity and confidence, focusing on the problems to find clarity and confidence is like trying to squeeze orange juice from a cow, right? You can squeeze that cow all you want, and you're never going to get orange juice, right? You've got to focus on what you want. So if the cow is the problem, the orange is the solution, right? And you're trying to squeeze that cow. See? So what we need to do is we need to start practicing that. We need to understand that when we have that stress and then we start looking for the problem, it's great to identify the problem. But then if your next step is to then complain about it or get into the woe is me phase, then what can you do, right? Can you take a little, I don't know if I have one in my desk or not. I don't. Can you take a little sticky note and just put it on your next to your computer that says, find a solution, right? And every time you associate whatever feeling or whatever complaint way that your body feels once you start complaining with that post-it note, right? Maybe you got to put them in a bunch of different places in your house. And then you start saying, okay, what is it that I desire? What's the solution? How do I find a solution? All right. So that's number 4. The fifth mindset shift is called the inner like button, right? This is how we have to make this the step that we can use, this practical application of going from stress to clarity, is number 5. It's the inner like button, right? And so how this works is, how many likes did I get on my social media posts, right? How many people are following me? How many people are sharing this? Everybody else. What is everybody else thinking about me, right? That's the outer like button, right? Please hit my like button. Please hit my like button. Please hit my like button. Oh, I'm going to go and hit a whole bunch of other people's like buttons, so they'll hopefully hit my like button, right? But what happens if we're always focused, right? We're talking about focusing on the external. What if we had an inner like button? What if we built that into our world? Are you proud of the actions that you're taking? Are you proud of the effort that you're making? Are you hitting your inner like button as opposed to going around to everybody else and saying, hit my like button, right? And as you look at that, if you say, man, it's hard to find my inner like button, right? not as proud as I'd like to be. Maybe I do need to take more effort and have a little bit more action, right? Then from there, we go back to the problem solving deal and go, okay, well, what are the choices that I'm making? What choices could I make differently, right? Not should. We never want to should on ourselves. But what choices could I make differently to where I start expanding that inner like button? And if we make that a practice and we start focusing on ways to change that, pretty soon, every action you take is going to feel like you're smashing the inner like button, right? Again, we have to go from the inner critic into the inner coach, that inner inspiration. So install an inner like button would be the next mindset shift. All right. So I want to go to Jerry's question here real quick. So we'll just take a quick detour. Jerry says, where does unexpected car issues fit in? My mother always told us that if a problem can be solved with money, it may not be a serious problem. Yeah. Right. So there's a couple of different ways that I might look at this, Jerry. First and foremost, yes, unexpected car issue. Okay, it's an issue. In no way, shape, or form am I telling you that we just need to go, oh, there's no problems, right? That's not the truth, right? We do need to understand what the problems are, but it's then what we do with that, right? It's the response that we have to that event. The event is unexpected car issue, right? And I love your mom saying if a problem that can be solved with money may not be a serious problem. Okay, but maybe you don't have the money for that, right? And so what you can do here is start reframing that and going, okay, unexpected car issue. Well, okay, where do I start, right? Well, I've got a car to begin with, and so the fact that I have a car that can have an issue, right? Okay, so how do I solve that problem, right? Oh, I don't really have the money to go and get it done at the car repair shop. Okay, well, then who can I talk to, right? Can I ask for help, right? And so it more about not necessarily saying, okay, let's just not focus on the issues and say it's not really serious problem or not. A problem is a problem. It's about how we interact with that problem that is the most important part of moving on and creating the results and the outcomes that we desire, because we're focused on the desire, right? And so there's always a way. It's just typically a way that might be outside of our comfort zone, right? And so if that way is outside of our comfort zone, we go, oh, it's impossible. No, it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. It's just outside of your comfort zone to go ask for that help or to do that thing or to whatever you got to do to solve the problem. And so that's the way we're going to. So hopefully that explains a little bit, Jerry. Let me know if there's any other questions about that. But yeah, I think we covered that. So, all right. Well, let's get into number 6 here, because we talked about number 5 being the inner like button. Number 6, stuff doesn't matter, right? And what I mean by this is the things that are out of our control, right? Like the car issue. Right? I can't control that necessarily. Now, could I have created, promoted, or allowed that? I didn't take care of my car, blah, blah, blah. I knew I needed a new car, yada, yada, yada. We can, again, look at the past all we want and woulda, coulda, shouldas, and those things don't matter. So when I say stuff doesn't matter, I'm talking about those things, and then the things that are out of our control, the weather, the traffic, how a vendor acts, right? None of that stuff is in our control. The only thing we have control of are our responses, our actions that we take, right? And so we end up, and I mentioned this a little bit already, but we end up complaining about things that we know that we can actually change, but are not willing to take that much action to change, right? The actions outside of our comfort zone. If the weather is bad where you live, you complain about it because you know there's better weather somewhere else. Now, you may have to chase that around a little bit, right? I may have to be a snowbird that lives in nice weather in the winter, and then I get back to my lakes in the right. And I know that's not possible for all of us all the time, but we can certainly create that, right? That the traffic's terrible. Okay, well, if you work from home, the traffic in my house is pretty darn nice. Every once in a while, my son's in my way a little bit. So that's my traffic jam, right? Or I'm in his way is probably more likely. How a vendor acts, right? We can't change that, but we can go get a new vendor, right? Those are the actions that we can take. So when I let go of these things, the stuff that doesn't matter, when I let go of that and I change my mindset to how can I change that? And am I willing to change that right now? And if I'm not willing to change that right now, can I just let it go? Okay. Yes, the weather's not great today. It's not ideal for what I was hoping for. It's a little too windy and I wanted to go play golf. Right? Or it's cold and I like to be warm. Okay, well, turn on the heater, put a blanket on, put a sweatshirt on, whatever. Focus on the stuff that does matter, which are the things that you can control. All right, so that's number 6. Number 7 is to be thankful. Right? And this is a topic that I was not very good at for a very long time. In fact, if it wasn't for my amazing wife, I probably would still not be very good at it, but I feel like I'm getting way better. It's a practice. Right? And so again, with the idea being here, going from from stress to clarity and confidence, we have to recognize what's going on physically, emotionally. Maybe we're tired, maybe we're hungry, right? We have to be able to start pinpointing those things when the stress hits. And then we can then start using these strategies. And this is an awesome one. This is just be grateful, just be thankful, right? I'm putting Kylene on the spot, even though she's being wonderful to me and being a producer here. I'm not going to ask her to get on or anything like that, but at some point she's going to need to share. We've been doing this thing on Volley called Daily Gratitude. And it's just a way to inspire each other to be thankful more often. What are a couple things, one thing, 5 things, whatever, couple things that you're grateful for today, right? And then when I hear you say that, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, you know what? That's awesome. Yeah, I'm grateful that I'm grateful that you're grateful for that, right? And then this just keeps snowballing, and then it makes me think about the things that I'm grateful for, and go back to the car situation. The fact that you've got a car to have issues with, I'm grateful for that, right? We just had to replace the water heater in our home, which was not a small investment. And we had to take a couple of cold showers. But the fact that I had a cold shower to take, I was very grateful for that, right? I could have been like, oh, this is a cold shower. It's terrible. I started getting cranky. And then I thought to myself, gosh, at least I can take a shower. I'm not, outside on the street somewhere, not feeling good, right? And not being able to take a shower, right? As I thought about that, I'm like, gosh, I've got a cold shower. What would I do if I didn't even have this shower available to me? Right? So being grateful, being thankful. And then Kylene shared here, when you're in a state of gratitude, you're in a state of abundance and begin attracting appreciation. What you do have not focused on what you don't. Sorry, I know that was not exactly what you're trying to say, and I'm trying to read through between the lines there. When you are in a state of gratitude, you're in a state of abundance, begin attracting and appreciating what you, there, I just didn't say it right. Okay. When you are in a state of gratitude, you're in a state of abundance and begin attracting and appreciating what you do have, not focusing on what you don't. So there we go. So there's number 7, be thankful. All right. So let's get to number 8 here. Number 8 is find the present. Right. It's called the present. I don't know if this is true. I'm just making this up off the top of my head right now. But I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it as if it's true. All right. So just take it for what it's worth, but go with this as it's true. It's called the present because it's a gift. The only moment that we have, right, is the present moment. Nothing's guaranteed. We can't do anything about the past. So this present moment is all that we have. And that's a gift. But stress makes us focus on the past. Stress, overwhelm, anxiety, the challenges that we face make us wonder about the future. And so if we can just stop in that moment, again, going back to whatever that trigger is for you and going, oh, what's happening right now? Right? I'm standing here in front of this camera. I've got a blue shirt on that says fantasized experiences appearing real. I get to share something I'm really passionate about, which is helping small business owners create a better, more valuable life for themselves and a business that they love. Right? Like in that present moment, I'm going, gosh, there's not a care in the world. Right. And as soon as I start going, oh man, what do I got to do later today? I'm behind on this project. That's when things change. And then when I go, oh man, I wish I would have used words more carefully 30 seconds ago and explained that a little bit better, right? Then that I get back to that stress. But when I'm in the present moment, just like I have clarity, I have confidence, I can stare and smile into that camera, right? And whatever it is that you're doing, when you're just sitting here listening to me, right? Or you're thinking about what it is that you want to say. What if you just said, what showed up for me in that present moment? What showed up? And just be okay with that. Right. So that's number 8. That's the step, tip, mindset shift, whatever you want to call it. That's number 8. All right, let's get to number 9 here. Now, this is a statement that comes from the book by T. Harv Eker called Millionaire Mindset. I believe that's about right. It's Secrets of a Millionaire Mind is what it is, by T. Harv Eker. Great book. So I'd recommend it if you haven't had a chance to read it yet. But the idea here is to focus on the roots, not the fruits, right? The root, not the fruit. So we spend so much time focusing on the results, which we already talked about, the what's, the how's, the things we're trying to get, right? And we spend very little time focusing on the why, the roots, the depth, right? And so to do this, to change this up, because when we focus on the fruits, right, we go, oh, I've got to water that thing, the fruit that's not even there. I got to really focus on that. No, it's the roots. It's the nutrients you put in the ground. It's the water that feeds in through those roots, goes up through the trunk, out through the branches, and then creates the fruit. The fruit only shows up after everything else has happened, but yet we're focused entirely on the fruit. So let's get back to focusing on the root, right? So when stress, when anxiety, when challenges show up, what if we were to start questioning things at a little more deeper level? What if we asked more questions? What if we got deeper, right? What happens to us is we're so surface level because of the speed of the world, how easy it is to be surface level, right? I can type really quick and be a keyboard warrior and be in and out. And I can keep to myself. I don't have to open up. It's too scary out there to open up. I don't have to get outside my comfort zone. I can build this nice, tight little bubble where everything's super comfortable and great, right? And that keeps us at this surface level. But to get a little more depth, right, we need to go focus in on the roots. So how often do you go deep? How often do you set aside for yourself to just go, what's important to me? What am I doing, right? What can I do differently? How could I implement something more? How can I work on the roots? And when we think about working on the roots, right? How can I develop stronger roots? Roots are the mindset. Roots are the trusting in ourselves, believing in the positivity. Those are all the roots of how your business is going to be fantastic, right? Jerry says, I'm guilty of sometimes thinking worst case scenario. And Jerry, here's the great part about that is that you are not alone. That, in fact, like I said, that is a skill that was installed in us well before we ever became humans, right? This is a human trait that keeps us safe, right? As a species, the way to stay alive is to think about the worst case scenario and then be able to protect ourselves from that, right? And so when we're focused on that worst case scenario, right, it keeps us safe. But like I said about stress is meant to be a quick focus, then get back out of it and get back to the depth of it, get back into the roots. But we just stay in always finding that worst case scenario, right? What if we, again, use that opportunity when I point out that worst case scenario to go, okay, what are some of the best case scenarios? Thank you for the worst case scenario. Now, let me work my way back down from that. Oh, well, the best case scenario is that, the worst case scenario is I get laughed at or whatever, right? And because that's the other thing. Sometimes we just imagine this worst case scenario that really is probably never going to actually come true. Right? Like, oh, I say something, I go on Small Business Saturdays here and I'm sharing the roots, not fruits. And 1,000 people are going to come and tell me I'm stupid and woo and da, 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 da. Right? Really? Is that really going to happen? maybe one person doesn't like it. That's not really my person, and that's okay. That doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't make me a bad person, right? So, Jerry, I'm glad that you're willing to kind of point those things out. So, let me go back to roots, not fruits here, and just kind of, car was no big deal, $1,000 repair, but I was thinking a new car might be needed. Okay, well, what's your gut telling you, right? Is that a new car time? Okay, is that a good investment for you? Could you use that money somewhere else? I'm not saying yes or no. That could be a great investment for you. What I'm saying is, when we focus on all of the what ifs and the wants and the what nots, then we never get the what haves and the possibilities, right? So thinking about those things from a possibility standpoint is what's most important, right? So, all right, back to roots, not fruits, and we'll close that out, and then we'll get to number 10 here. So I guess going back to how often you go deep, and then how often do you look around and go, how can I get a little more depth, right? Could I maybe reach out to Aaron? Could I go over to coachosg.com and have him help me with that? As you can tell, I love it, right? So maybe that's worthwhile investment for you, right? So we have to understand that, and then we have to do that for ourselves too, right? So if we're spending our entire day in a Facebook group, keyboard warrioring away, there may be a little more depth that you need to find in your life, right? And are you taking enough time to just spend some time with yourself? Go back to that present moment and just focus in on the roots. So, all right, number 10, the last one to wrap us up here is the universe is energy, right? And the universe is energy. And okay, so here's where I go nice and woo for you guys that think this is already too woo. At the end of the day, though, what we put out is what we receive, right? And so if we can understand that the universe is energy, it's not things, even all the things, right? This pen is nothing more. They've proven, science has proven that this pen, if you get small enough and into it enough, is nothing more than energy, moving energy. It might feel solid, it can be a thing, but it's not a thing, right? It's not a thing. So everything is energy. And when we understand that about our business, then we can understand how we show up. So if your business is struggling and you show up in that place of my business is struggling, guess what you're going to get? More of that struggle. If you show up and go, I'm passionate about this, I love what I'm doing, I have clarity, I have confidence. Right? I didn't say you had to have the end result. I said clarity and confidence. And confidence only comes from surviving a risk. So we have to keep building up our confidence. And we also have to make sure we've done enough work focusing on the roots, not the fruits, to have the clarity of what the heck am I actually trying to do here, right? Am I just chasing somebody else's dream because somebody said becoming a screen printer was a good idea, or because somebody said I should get into sublimation, right? Or is there something more deep there that I can hold on to? And I've yet to find somebody that we can't work with and get into the depth and discover what it is at their core. And because the secret is it's what they're good at. It's what their strengths are. And this business just becomes a way to showcase those strengths, just to give out those strengths, so to speak. So at the end of the day, what we put out is what we receive. So the second that stress shows up, there's another reminder to go back to this list of 10 things and say, what is the energy I'm putting out into the world, right? And again, at the end of the day, I know I'm talking to myself too. So what is that energy? And then understanding, okay, how can I continue to evolve that? So I'm just going to go real quickly, and Kylie, if you can help me out here real quick, just go right back through all the steps and all of these mindset shifts and whatever you want to call them, but just a list of things that you can kind of remind yourself. And what I will do is, if you will reach out to me, whatever way works for you is fine by me. Just reach out to me, and I will send you a infographic with these 10 things on it. So I haven't made it yet, but I will make it later today, and I will send that to you if you reach out to me. All right. So If you don't know how to reach out to me, you can do so at success@oursuccessgroup.com. Thank you. Or you can also find me lots of other ways. So we'll leave it at that. All right. So back to the list here. Number 1, remove ego, right? If we remove I want, what's left? Number 2, change perspective, right? That's a solution I didn't see because my perspective has changed. I'm not so focused. I can't see the forest for the trees. All right. Number 3, focus on process. Right? How are you falling in love with the journey? What is the process that you have, not the result, right? Not focused on the stress and that result, that thing. All right. Number 4, focus on what you desire, right? We want to look for danger. We want to see what's out there. We want to protect ourselves. But what if we were out there looking for what's possible? What if the world was conspiring for me, right? And focusing on that. I mentioned that when you're trying to find clarity and confidence by focusing on the stress, that is like trying to squeeze orange juice from a cow. All right, number 5, build an inner like button. Right? Are you proud of what you're putting out there? Are you hitting your like button enough instead of going around trying to get everybody else to push your like button? All right. Number 6, stuff doesn't matter. The things that are out of our control, we need to stop complaining about it, right? It's okay to commiserate. I get it, right? As humans, we need that comfort to know that we're not alone. But we stay there. We have to get out of that as quickly as possible. And if other people want to keep dragging you back into that, you either need to say, hey, I'm done with that, or you got to stop spending time with them. All right. Number 7, be thankful, right? Be thankful. Just as easy as that. What am I grateful for? Even in this challenge, what could I be grateful for? What am I thankful for? So the thing I was going to put Kylene on the spot about is we've been doing this daily gratitude thing over on Volley, and Volley's closing at the end of the month. The business did not make it. So where is daily gratitude going to live? So we'll get Kylene to figure that out. That we've got a few things that are kind of being practiced out there, but I told Kylene this was her gig. She's the one that taught me about being grateful, and this comes from her program called Thankful Thursday. So you can actually tune in almost every Thursday afternoon, and just right here where you're watching this. Or over at Rise, Shine, Smile, and listen to Thankful Thursday to get more great mindset information. And you can go and watch those Thankful Thursday episodes that have been put on in the past as well. So check that out. Okay, number 7, be thankful. Number 8, find the present, right? And present moment is a gift. Just what's happening right now is a gift. Not focusing on what's going to happen in the future, not worrying about what happened in the past. Find the present. Come back to that. That'll give you a lot more clarity, because if I'm just in the present moment, it's pretty clear. One present moment right here. All right. Number 9, roots, not fruit, right? Roots, not fruits. We'll have to make that plural, but that's okay. Roots, not fruit. Right. And that really is just, are you going deep enough with yourself, with the world around you? Or are you just a little too surface level? Right? Do I need to get a little deeper with my relationships? Do I need to get a little bit deeper understanding of my business? Do I need to get a little bit deeper understanding of who my ideal customer is? Have I asked enough questions? Am I questioning myself enough to make sure that I do get past the surface level stuff? All right. And the last one is the universe is energy. What we put out is what we receive. All right. So everybody good with that list? Any questions, anything that shows up for anybody, please let me know. I appreciate you guys spending some time with me this morning. I appreciate you guys having a little patience as we ended up running a little bit late. Reach out to me at success@oursuccessgroup.com if you'd like an infographic with those 10 items on it. And if you're catching the replay, that'll still be available to you. So just success@oursuccessgroup.com. And I think that is about what I have for you guys today. We will be off next week as I will be out at the Sublimation Summit. So if you are going to be at the Sublimation Summit, let me know you're going to be there. I'd love to meet up with you, get a little more depth, right? Get to know each other a little bit better if we haven't already had some time, but we can always go deeper. So I love that. And then, but we'll be back in that first weekend in May with another Small Business Saturday episode then. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate you. And Kylene, thank you so much for your help and support. And I will look forward to talking to everybody again very soon.